Hello everyone. Today let us study about the low dimensional system. In our previous class we discussed about the introduction to low dimensional semiconductor structures and also saw some of the main properties of bulk semiconductors, that is nothing but three-dimensional system. So today let us start our actual topic, which is regarding the low dimensional system. So in order to understand about low dimensional system, we need to understand a very important effect which is called as quantum confinement effect. So this is a very important effect when you come for low dimensional system, especially nanomaterials. So here we can observe two main terms, one is quantum, another one is confinement. So if you separately understand these two terms, easily you can understand the effect. So what actually confinement mean? So confinement is to restrict, that is to confine the motion of randomly moving electrons. So in bulk semiconductors, there is no restriction on the movement of electron. Easily and randomly the electron can move in semiconductor. But when you restrict it, we say confinement is taking place. That is, we are restriction the electron motion in specific energy levels, because what all study we are going to do is with respect to energy levels itself. So when there is a restriction put on the motion of the electron, based on that we are having different types of low dimensional semiconductor structures like quantum well, quantum wire, quantum dot, etc. So here discreteness is coming into picture. So in bulk semiconductor we observe that energy is directly proportional to k square, by which we understand that energy levels are in the form of continuous, that is continuum. But here, due to the restriction put on the movement of the electron, we observe that energy levels are discrete in nature. So based on this, we just define different properties where because of this restriction, we can observe the change in the energy gap also, or band gap energy. So that in detail will be considered in our coming classes while we discuss about quantum dots. Then we know quantum means atomic realm or regime of particles. So what all we are dealing is with respect to electrons, means it is atomic or subatomic regime. So quantum confinement, I hope the picture is clear, and it is mainly due to the change in the atomic structure. So as you go on decreasing the size, that is from macroscopic where you understand about bulk system, as you go on decreasing the size and come to the atomic structure, quantum confinement effect is going to be dominant, and it is observed when the size of the particle is too small to be comparable with the wavelength of electron. So in the previous class we have already seen about the de Broglie wavelength. So that is having a importance in understanding the quantum confinement effect. So this is some detail about the quantum confinement effect, based on which we have different low dimensional semiconductor structures. Then based on this, we can just understand the two-dimensional system, which is the first low-dimensional system. So bulk semiconductor means three-dimensional system, and when you confine, we get a two-dimensional system. But how to confine? So in two-dimensional system, the quantum confinement of carriers will be in one direction. That also in small regions, typically we say of 10 nanometer, which results in an essentially two-dimensional electron system, and such systems are often called as quasi two-dimensional systems. So in short, Q2D system. So here we can observe confinement of the carriers in one direction, means along one direction there is a restriction for the movement of electron. So if you consider XYZ axis, so degrees of freedom will be equal to 3 in bulk semiconductor. If you restrict the movement of electron in one direction, let us say electron is not able to move along x-axis, but it is free to move along y and z axis. So we say that the system is confined in one direction. However, two directions will be free to move. That's why based on the degree of freedom, we just define the two-dimensional system. And here the quasi two-dimensional semiconductor structures in which the quasi two-dimensional electron gas is observed that can include inversion layers, heterojunctions and quantum well. So we can say that quantum well is a very good example for two-dimensional system, which is a result of quantum confinement effect only. So here we describe the two-dimensional semiconductor structures commonly used in study of two-dimensional physics, and also discuss the shape of the potential wells, the wave functions, eigenvalues as well as the density of state functions. So let us move one by one. So here we need to study about MOSFET, or even we say MOSFET, which is nothing but metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. So what is the need of studying it is that the first device in which the carrier confinement or the loss of dimension was observed was in silicon MOSFET. So that's why if you understand about the MOSFET, easily we can understand about inversion layers, corresponding density of states, and also what will be the nature of quantum well. So let us have a diagrammatical view how a MOSFET will be. So this is a p-type semiconductor. So example, it may be p-type silicon. Then we are having two parts, which is N plus. N plus means highly doped with N-type impurity. So it is acting as a source one and drain, above which we are having a thin oxide layer, and in silicon MOSFET the thin oxide layer will be of silicon oxide, that is SiO2. Then in order to make the contacts, we are just having the source as well as drain, and in FETs we have another thing which is a gate. So that will be of metal, and metal will be silicon itself. So here we are having first is metal, then it is oxide, then it is semiconductor. So it is a MOS diagram, or we can say configuration, and when you implant this highly doped part, or which is going to act as a contact for source and drain, and metal will be acting as a gate, then it is going to form a FET, that is field emission transistor. So this is how we have the MOSFET, and based on different types of material which is used, we can just have different types of MOSFET. So here I have explained about silicon. So just remember this diagram, and later we can just understand how it is going to work. So this is a typical silicon MOS, that is metal oxide semiconductor of condenser configuration with silicon metal as one of the plates and silicon oxide, which is an insulating layer, as a dielectric. So here we can observe that if you just don't consider that highly doped implantations which is acting as a source and drain, it is something like a capacitor. So if a p-type silicon is used as a plate, so I will explain in the previous slide itself. So if a p-type silicon is used as a plate, the positive carriers near the iodized surface will be pushed into the bulk silicon by a voltage onto the metal plate, which is called as gate. So because of the voltage, the electrons, or here we have considered p-type semiconductor. So positive carriers means holes are going to be oxidized. So as the oxide layer is thin, it is not thick, it is a thin layer, that is of SiO2, a sufficiently high electric field of order, let us say 10 raised to 6 volt per centimeter is generated, which causes the valence band as well as conduction band near the interface between silicon and silicon oxide to bend, and due to this eventually the conduction band will cross below the bulk Fermi level EF. So when I explain it diagrammatically, you will understand properly. So I am just trying to define inversion layer. So because of this bending, the negative charges, that is electrons, will be induced at the interface in a narrow layer which is called as inversion layer. So if you consider the configuration, that is metal oxide semiconductor configuration, here let us have the EF as shown, that is the Fermi energy, and this is for bulk semiconductor, that is for three-dimensional system. Here we are not considering two-dimensional. And let us say we are applying the gate voltage, due to which the band which is present in the semiconductor, that is valence band and conduction band, we know it is having a parabolic nature because E is directly proportional to K square. But what we observe is that there will be bending of conduction band below EF, that is below the Fermi energy of the bulk semiconductor. And this bending will be accumulating certain region below the Fermi energy, and which is termed as inversion layer. One thing you need to remember here is that it is called as inversion layer because the sign of the charges in the inversion layer will be opposite when compared to the bulk carriers. So in semiconductor we have considered p-type semiconductor, that is p-type silicon. But after the bending in this layer which is below the Fermi energy, you will have a opposite charge than that of the bulk one. Bulk we are having p-type, but here there will be accumulation of electrons, that is having the opposite charge when compared to the majority charge carriers, which is holes. So based on the opposite nature of the main carrier and the carrier which is present in the inversion layer, it is named as inversion layer because of its inverse nature. And one thing you need to remember is that we have considered p-type semiconductor. If you have n-type semiconductor, that is n-type silicon, we call the layer as accumulation layer because in that case here the bulk carrier will be electrons, but in the inversion layer, that is after bending, the region here below EF will be consisting of opposite charges which will be holes. That's why that type of accumulation is called as accumulation layer. So these induced charges can be moved in the plane parallel to the condenser plates freely, and their motion perpendicular to the plates is restricted. So due to this there will be splitting of energy. So we can say that along one direction it is confined. So the induced charges which are present in this inversion layer. So if you consider p-type semiconductor, then electrons will be present in the inversion layer and those are free to move only in the plane parallel to the condenser plate. But if you consider the motion perpendicular to the plate, then it is not possible. So there is a confinement or restriction due to which the energy levels are going to split up. Means discreteness is coming into picture. Thus, the electrons in the inversion layer provide a two-dimensional system of electrons. So, how to get a two-dimensional system? is by getting or by bending off the conduction band below the Fermi energy, where you observe the inversion layer. So you can say that whole system is acting as a two-dimensional system, but only a small region, that is the electrons in the inversion layer, are going to show you two-dimensional system of electrons. So that type of nature. So here, by varying the gate voltage, the amount of band bending can be controlled, and hence the electron concentration also can be varied. Electron concentration in inversion layer also can be varied in between 0 to 10 raised to 13 per centimeter square. So the amount of the two-dimensional system of electrons can be varied, and we can get a huge amount, that is 10 raised to 13 per centimeter square. And this is the importance of inversion layer, or even we can say this concept can be understood by using the MOS configuration. So till now we just studied about MOS capacitor, that is two plates. One is a metal silicon, another one is semiconductor, that is p-type semiconductor, p-type silicon, which is separated by a dielectric, which is the oxide layer silicon dioxide or SiO2. So capacitor, we know those are nothing but the two charged plates which is separated, or even in between there may be a dielectric. So one is metal silicon, another plate is acting as a semiconductor, that is p-type silicon. In between the space is filled with the insulating layer, which is oxide layer. So whatever we considered now was with respect to capacitor configuration, that is metal, oxide, semiconductor, capacitor. So this metal, oxide, semiconductor, capacitor can be converted into field emission transistor by implantation of N plus source and drain. That is, N plus means more number of electrons, that is highly doped with pentavalent impurities. So high N doped source and drain contacts, which are going to conduct electrons into or out of the inversion layer. So this is how is the working of MOSFET, due to which we can just produce or control the amount of two-dimensional system of electrons in the inversion layer, that is by changing the gate voltage, based on which we can either increase or decrease the concentration. So this is about how we get the two-dimensional system of electrons, and we already studied about inversion layer. So in our next class we will be discussing about the wave functions, the energy eigenvalues of the two-dimensional or quasi two-dimensional electrons, and also we will discuss about the density of states, how it is going to vary with respect to bulk semiconductors. So this is about today's class. See you in next class. Thank you.